Welcome into Steelers Talk. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today we got a bunch of great Steelers news and rumors to cover for you guys right here on the show. The first up here, we're going to be breaking down the latest Steelers injury updates as this team prepares to take on the reigning champion Kansas City Chiefs at home on Christmas Day. Some very good news on George Pickens today. Then we'll also talk a little bit about and look a little bit to the future here and whether or not the Steelers should trade a first-round pick next offseason for star wide receiver Garrett Wilson, who seems like he's unhappy in the Big Apple right now. Before we get into today's news and rumors slate, go ahead and give me a follow on X if you haven't already. I put out my Russell Wilson film analysis out there. I'm actually going to put that out tonight. When I watch Monday Night Football, I'm going to be going over the film, cutting it up, putting it up on my Twitter. So I put up my Russell Wilson stuff out there, daily Steelers news updates, and then, of course, just general NFL content as well. And then you guys can also follow us on IG. We put out our short-form content there every single day. We're getting a little bit more help here at Chat Sports, so we're going to really be cranking up the short-form content on that Instagram account, so you guys can go find us at SteelersCS if you want that short-form content outside of this YouTube channel. All right, now that George Pickens looks like he's going to be back here, according to Jerry Dulac, he's been dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue. He's been out the last 3 games, and obviously the offense has not been quite as good, but Jerry Dulac did say today that George Pickens is expected to play on Wednesday pending a final health confirmation. And that's obviously good news if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan because, I mean, business has been shut down on offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers ever since George Pickens went out with that hamstring injury. And, you know, it's just you need this guy to be healthy, plain and simply. I mean, we said it all this offseason when we talked about getting a potential second stud wide receiver, whether that was Brandon Ayuk, whether that was Devontae Adams. One of the key points was if George Pickens goes down, like this offense is going to come to a grinding halt, which it obviously did when he got injured. You take a look at the numbers for the Steelers when they've had Russell Wilson at quarterback and George Pickens on the field at wide receiver. They're one of the best offenses in football, guys. The points per game is over 28 points a game. The completion percentage was much higher than it is without George Pickens. By the way, 19 points without George Pickens. That is a huge, huge shift from having one player versus not having one player. Same thing with the yardage per game, almost 400 yards per game, down to just 250. That is a giant step down without George Pickens. The yards per attempt go down a full yard. I don't think people understand here just how big of a dip that is. And then the third down percentage went down as well. So obviously George Pickens is really the linchpin of this Steelers vertical passing attack, and that vertical passing attack opens up everything else. So the run game, the screen game, the short passing game, you need George Pickens out there plain and simply, so it's good to see that it looks like he is going to be back this week. Now, it does look like Joey Porter Jr. and Ben Skoranek will not be on the field on Wednesday when we play the Chiefs. Porter left with a knee injury last Saturday, and Skoranek left with a hip, and they have not practiced or, went through walkthroughs or anything to this point in the week. So because of that, I don't expect them to be on the field on Wednesday. Then when it comes to Justin Fields, who missed Saturday's game with an abdominal injury, he was limited today in Pittsburgh during the walkthrough. So I think that he's still dealing with a little bit of an abdominal injury. And honestly, I don't think he will be participating either in Wednesday's game if, God forbid, Russell Wilson goes down with an injury. I would expect Kyle Allen to be the backup for the black and gold on Christmas. Now, full participants here. We talked about George Pickens, who is expected to play on Wednesday. Deshaun Elliott has had a nice upturn here after his hamstring injury. He's expected to most likely give it a go. Same thing with Dante Jackson, recovering from that back injury. And Larry Ogunjobi was a full participant in today's walkthrough as well. He's been dealing with a groin injury. He practiced a little bit last week, and now he's been upgraded to a full participant. So I would expect these 4 players and these 4 key starters, 3 of them on defense, 1 on offense, to all be playing on Wednesday afternoon. So let me know, more or less down there in the comments section. Will George Pickens have more or less than 1.5 touchdowns versus the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas? If you think he gets 2 or more, type N for more. If you think he gets 1 or less, type L for less for me down there in the comments section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And when I'm talking about Prize Picks, go down there in the comments section and let me know if you think GP gets 2 or more touchdowns. All right, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action all in your phone this football season. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Join now because during this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December. And they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. So you take a look at our projection here for Monday Night Football tonight. Coop and I are taking the less on passing yards for Jordan Love, the more on the new kicker for the New Orleans Saints, Blake Grupe, and then I'm taking the less on passing yards for Spencer Rattler, the rookie QB for New Orleans as well. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS. Prize Picks, run your game. So I know you guys don't like the wide receiver rumors. It's just all this talk and no action from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Garrett Wilson, somebody that was very highly touted coming out of the Ohio State Buckeyes a few seasons back, currently a member of the New York Jets, is showing signs that he may demand a trade out of the New York Jets organization this offseason. And honestly, who could blame him after that joke of a franchise has absolutely ruined the early part of his career? This is what he had to post on his Instagram story after yesterday's loss to the Los Angeles Rams. He says, "You think I'm trying to be cool with that 5-yard catch? Absolutely no. I'm trying to take that mother," and you guys get it, "to the crib, turn it into an explosive, shake the whole squad, at least go out trying. You probably never understand. If you're mad about 2 yards, just know that's why we won't get along." So listen, man, he's definitely showing signs that he is not happy in New York. Even during his post-game press conference yesterday, he seemed super frustrated. He's not getting the football a ton, with Aaron Rodgers targeting Davante Adams a lot more than him. And obviously, Garrett Wilson feels like he's one of the better receivers in football, and he should be getting the ball more. And I do think that Wilson, if he does demand a trade, is a legit trade target for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025, because yes, until the Steelers address the wide receiver position, we're going to talk about these receivers that become available. That's just the way that it works. This is a news and rumors show, guys. But the thing is, he would be expensive. All right. So you're going to have to pay a heavy price to bring in a guy like Garrett Wilson if you want to make him a Pittsburgh Steeler. And it's going to cost around a first-round draft pick. He's still a very good receiver. Some would even argue he's a top 10, borderline top 10 level guy at the position right now. All right. And a first-round pick is probably what the New York Jets would want for him. And honestly, with a lot of teams looking for wide receiver help next offseason, they might even ask for more than a first-round pick. Probably a first round and a third, maybe a first and a fourth, something like that. And, personally, guys, I would seriously consider giving up next year's first-round draft pick to finally put this position to bed, to finally not have to deal with this anymore, and bring in a legit number one that you can trust for the future here in Pittsburgh. And my reasoning for why I would seriously consider giving up a first-round pick for Garrett Wilson next year is because, the Steelers are going to be drafting in the 20s, maybe even in the 30s if they have a really good postseason run this year. And the players at that point in the first round have a very low chance at being as good as Garrett Wilson is right now. Garrett Wilson, he's a great route runner. He can make acrobatic catches. He brings good size to the table. He is a legit number one receiver in this league, all right? And the idea that you're going to get that at the end of the first round and you're going to guarantee that, I just don't know if that's what you're going to get if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Plus, Garrett Wilson is a sure thing. If you are drafting somebody in the mid-20s of the first round of the NFL draft, and let's say you take a wide receiver, you're pretty much drafting a mystery box. You could be getting Quentin Johnston. You could be getting another Garrett Wilson. You could be getting a big-time player, or you could be getting a bust. You do not know. But with Garrett Wilson, we know how good he is. We know how good he is on tape, and it's a more sure thing. And for a team like the Steelers that's trying to win now, I think that it makes more sense if Wilson becomes available and you can get him for that first-round pick. I would certainly consider giving that up to make sure that this wide receiver room is the best it can be for the 2025 season. However, the downside, if you are a big George Pickens fan, you probably aren't a fan of trading for Garrett Wilson, all right? Because if you trade for Wilson, you're probably going to be giving him that massive contract, and I'm not sure if the Steelers are going to want to pay two guys big contracts, especially when one of those guys, I'm talking about GP here, has been a little bit volatile in his personality, has been inconsistent in his effort on the field. I think that's more than fair to say. So if the Steelers don't trust George Pickens and don't want to give him that big contract, it makes sense to give it to Garrett Wilson and either trade George Pickens away or let him walk once his contract expires. But if they love George Pickens, they want to make him the marquee receiver here in Pittsburgh, this trade honestly doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So be the GM for me down there in the comments section. Would you trade next year's first for Garrett Wilson? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. I would certainly have to think about it, but let me know what you guys say down there in the comment section, yes or no. That'll be it for today's edition of Steelers News and Rumors by Chat Sports. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.